So I've been depressed for the last few days, and now it's going to be everybody's problem. Um, as I have been watching the, the progression of people starting to kind of like understand the loss of identity for like mothers and like parents, especially single parents, I have been thrown into a spiral of reliving like parts of my childhood where I was a caretaker for my siblings. I was literally nicknamed Mother Number Two in this dynamic. Yes, oldest parentified daughter here. And so, because of that, I realized that I was dealing mentally with a lot of like adult crisis kind of like stress problems that I shouldn't have been dealing with as a kid. Because now it's kind of like being brought forward that, oh, yeah, mothers need support because, once their babies stop being like those infants that are always hanging on them and needy all the time, then they start to kind of feel empty and then they start to kind of like get the baby fever again. And then they need people to kind of like talk them down from like that. I need to make another baby because my babies no longer need me because they just have, different needs now. I had that as a child and I didn't even realize it because like a lot of my life had been like dedicated to I lost my identity before I even knew I had one. And that was the big thing that I realized recently. Like I never had an identity. I only just learned how to start saying no in my fucking 30s. I like I did not have a sense of self all that time till I turned like 30. And I just decided to kind of like be a little bit more observant, like a little bit more aware because it was like I knew, but everybody kept telling me the opposite of what I knew. And when I would like I needed somebody external to kind of like tell me, "Hey, am I crazy? Am I just broken? Am I wrong? Or is this just not quite what it was?" And everyone outside of me confirmed that I was always wrong and that there was something fundamentally wrong with me. And so I was just trying like so hard to like perform like all of my existence up until like the last 2 years, I want to say, had been like, actually, no, about 3 years, I think. 2 or 3 years. I don't fucking remember anymore. It had been about performing. It had been about performing humanness from the lens of the people who taught me how to perform humanness. And it was just like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that, this is it. And then, I believed everybody because, they're older than me, so of course, like they're older than me, so therefore they're wiser, right? They're the ones who are taking care of me, so they must know everything. If they tell me that I should be basically able to take care of an entire household at 8 years old, then I should be able to take care of an entire household at 8 years old and all through my teenager years and everything. I have never rested. I have never rested. I have not had a break because even when the kids, and I did refer to my younger siblings as the kids, I still have dreams where they are actually my children. And, you can remind yourself 1,000 times, but like the subconscious. And so I have been going through like this extreme state of like depression kind of, and realizing like it's like too late for me to have the life that I want. And I know people will be like, "Oh, it's never too." Yes, it is. For the life that I actually intended to have, it is. Because I didn't understand what was happening because it was like I was always being bombarded with something, somebody else's ideas, somebody else's whatever the fuck projection. It didn't matter. Like I was trying to be, what an acceptable member of society, and for my experience as a black woman, like we were never valued. I was born in 1993. The women's value and black women's value, it was always performative and about trying to convince the rest of the world that we deserve to be here. And that's just from my experience. And I grew up in predominantly white spaces, so I never really felt accepted. I never really felt beautiful. I never felt like anything important because I was kind of forced to abandon myself at an early age in the name of like being the responsible one and not getting my ass beat because I'm the one telling everybody else not to do the bad thing so that I don't have to get my ass beat even though I'm not doing the bad thing. And so that's stressful. That's stressful to sit there and like try to tell other children who are not much younger than you, not to do bad things so that you don't get hit. And if they refuse, like there's nothing you can do. And so like it creates this like very distressing environment and very distressing space. And so I stopped playing. I stopped playing. And, of course, the younger ones were upset with me and they're like, oh, you changed. And it was like, no, like in my head at that time, I was like, no, I just grew up. And, I got tired of getting hit, so I stayed away from them. I did. I just would leave. If they didn't want to listen to me, I would walk out of the room so that I couldn't get blamed for whatever it was that they were doing. And, then my role became the caretaker because, once you become the responsible party and all of that stuff. And the thing about children is like, children don't know when to stop for themselves. So when they learn to like do new things, it's really easy to keep shirking the responsibility of that new thing onto them and they'll accept it. And that's what I did. Like I wanted to learn all the things that I learned. Like at a young age, around like, I want to say 10. I don't remember exactly the time frames because I'm very bad with time. But by like 10, I could literally change diapers, potty train, all of that stuff. I did that stuff. And then when I became a teenager, I was so deeply burned out and so deeply depressed. I could not sleep. I had so much problems going on in my motherfucking head because, like, I also had, like, abuse trauma. Because they don't like to use certain words, so from being creeped on as a child, and touched. So, yeah. Yeah, that happened quite often, actually. Like, to be creeped on by and looked at lustfully by grown people as a child, I recognized that, and I remember the instances of that shit happened to me. And yeah, that was insane. I was dealing with a lot of like adult mental problems and identity crisis problems that usually only happen when you have the children. And I think for me, like that whole, what is it? The thing that mothers have where they kind of like, oh no, my children don't need me anymore, and so now I feel useless and now I need to make another baby. Like, I think that kind of mentality kind of like infected my mind as I was getting older. And so, and on top of that, like the brainwashing, like, oh, you're gonna change your mind when you get older and all of that stuff. Yeah, I ended up trying to plan my life. It didn't go as planned, and then I had kids. And we gonna come back for a part 2.